Okay, there we go. My name is Kim Clarkson. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm an assistant director in career and leadership development. And my job is primarily helping students to get involved on campus and to support our student organization population on campus. One of the things that I am primarily responsible for is the Connect system for student organizations and departments that have involvement opportunities for students. Connect is used for everything from voting for student government elections to some of the survey work that happens on campus, just a little bit of it, showing what student orgs are here, helping student organizations to promote themselves and their events. Housing on campus uses it to help the RAs as well as the LITs to be able to manage the processes that they have. Club Sports uses it, and our friends down at the Rock campus also use it to manage their student groups. So there's a lot of different pieces that happen here. We're going to go through just a few of the key pieces for you all. What I would really like to ask you though is, regardless of what role you're here for today, are there any particular areas that you're hoping to know more about specifically before we leave? So if you could either unmute yourself or throw that up in the chat, I'll make sure that we spend time there. And you can throw questions in the chat or again, unmute yourself throughout the time that we're together. This is about you, so I can go through all the details, but if it's not the stuff you really need, that would be a waste of your time. So don't be afraid to throw some comments, I keep saying throw, to type some comments in the chat section, and I will focus on what you need. If you are here, and as I'm going through some tools, you don't have them, that would be because you haven't been given an officer's role or an advisor's role in one of the portals that's on Connect. Everybody here, as long as you're an officer of an org, you work for CLD or an assistant or a complex director, you all should have administrative rights to at least one portal. But I do know that some of our interns don't yet. So don't panic. If that's you, we can fix that. And I ask that you just hang around at the end and we'll get that access to you right away. So I'm going to go through, I didn't get any questions in the chat. So I'm just going to kind of start an overview. And if you have questions as you go, just stop me where we're at and we'll keep moving along and answer those questions. So what you see on your screens, or what you should see, I'm just going to move my camera over here, is our Connect main page. When you are an administrator for a group or for campus, for any portion of it on Connect, you really have two pieces, two components to the system. The first one is the user interface. So that means any student, any community member, anyone who is just trying to find out more information or apply or try to get invited to join a group or an organization, this is the side they're going to see, and that's the side that's in front of you right now. So it looks like UW-Whitewater, right? It's got our name at the top, it's got our color purple, it's got information about our university throughout the main page. When you are trying to create those opportunities, create those events, add people to your roster, do the administrative sides of things, you're going to see a very different look and feel. And that's important for you to know because that is a significant difference from the last system that we had to the new system. So this side that you're seeing right now is the user side. There's very little there's nothing you can do here that's going to change the operations of your organization. The only thing you can really do here is join an organization, view your profile, and complete a form if there's a form that's needed to be done. So very quickly, the login is found in this drop down right at the top. Once you've logged in, there won't be a login button anymore, there will be log out. If you have admin rights, this admin dashboard link will show up, and we're going to go in there in just a moment. Across the top are the prime links or pages that students would need. And then the rest of the page is built to some extent based on who they are. So once they're logged in, they'll have their profile info here, groups that they're a member of. So they're on the physical roster on Connect for those groups. Important events that are happening now, that are coming up, featured organizations, and then some further things to think about like experiences, which are ways for us to build out not just what you do, but then reflecting on it and earning credit for it in different ways. So that's your main page. Across the top, first one is organizations. Our organizations each have a tab here, and you can narrow them down by either searching under their name. Note that it is words within your name. So if I put in SHRM, human resource management isn't going to show up under that, but if I put in society or human or resource or management, then they will, okay? So the nicknames don't work unless they put it as part of the name of their group. You can search by category. So if you just want to look for a particular group, for example, housing is all listed together. So we could see each of the halls and lits that exist here. We can look to just the pages you're a member of. You can switch the search view from the tiled style to a list style and so on. Each one of these is a link to its own page. So if I go into Benson-Cambridge Complex, I can see some details once they load. I can contact the primary contact for the section, which is determined by the group. And in this case, the join button's on, which means I can join their roster, which we may want to not do with the complexes. So we can talk about that later. I can reach out to Maria about that. So that's organizations. If they had events, they would be listed here below as well if they were open to anybody, not just members. If you're a member, things show up in more detail if it's things that are limited to just the members of the group. Events looks much the same. Again, don't forget to put questions in or just shout them out. I'm happy to answer questions as we go. So this again is the user side. Here's where I can search for events that are happening on campus. Most of these events are student organization sponsored or for student organization. It's going to be one of those two things. So we have lots of calendars. We have too many calendars on our campus, but the campus calendar doesn't really have a spot for student org events to be posted. So this is where they go. And if you go into them, so here's Magic the Gatherings club meeting. You can see when and where. You can add it to your calendar if you have your calendar set up. You can send a message to whoever the events contact is for. And that's a nice improvement over our last system. It used to be always the contact of the org, but sometimes you have a different person that's in charge of a specific event. So you can apply it and put the right person in. You can also use general emails. So if you have a collegedems@uw.edu email, you can use that as the primary contact's email address. So it'll go to the general group instead of just a specific person. So that is events on the viewer side. Forms is going to be campus-wide forms. So these are forms that primarily our office provides. This could be anything from a student employment application, which would also be on Handshake, but we would have it created in here, to updating an email for your organization, registering an event, fundraising approvals, all of those lovely tasks that we have to do as student organizations especially. And so if you're working in career and leadership and somebody's like, oh, we're going to do a fundraiser next week, it'd be a great thing to say, hey, did you fill out the fundraising form? Because all fundraisers on campus, regardless of who sponsors them, have to be approved by our office. And we don't want them to go out on their own and maybe break some rules, because the approval form is really about avoiding rule violation. Checking out supplies from our office. That includes our interns. So when we're a little more in person than we are right now, you may want to do a game night in the WCC, or I don't know, have a tug of war competition at one of our meetings. There's lots of supplies we have that we use over the years, and the checkout form is here. And we ask that whether it's a student org, another department, or even internally, that we use that form because it helps us remember who took what. It helps us remember not to promise something more than once, that kind of stuff. So it's really a management tool for us. And that is forms. The next one, opportunities. These are different experiences, and the CLD intern program is intended to be built here, but there will be other things too. So all of our UCAST student training videos that are available for student orgs will be listed in the experiences section. This could be a Make a Difference Day. It could be a series of an experience with a series of events that are tied to it. So there's lots of different ways to use that tool, and there can be points or service hours affiliated with that. And then resources are outside links things that we want students to be able to access whenever they need to. So conduct, student org handbook is a wide overview of student org related stuff. Org misconduct policy, and then the event exception protocol, as well as the form to request an exception, are all linked there and available to you. So that's the user side and the easier side. You can always click on this connect button to go back to the main page, or you can just take off everything after the / and it'll bring you right back to the student page. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So then we're gonna go to the dashboard where the real meat of the work you all have to do can take place. The admin dashboard, as I mentioned, looks significantly different. This side of the system is consistent from campus to campus across the nation. So it's not going to look different for Whitewater, other than it's going to say once it's fully loaded, and it doesn't seem to want to load for me right now. Once it's fully loaded, it will welcome me. It'll tell me there's some things that I need to do. And it'll give me a whole bunch of tools that I can use. So some of the tools that you see on the screen right now are tools that are for me as the kind of top level user. So you should not see all of the same tabs, and we're really only going to focus on 4 or 5 of them today. But it will show you if you've been asked to complete something, it'll show you in the action items here. If you create a form for your organization and people submit it, you'll see that they've submitted it. So you have a really quick link and a reminder that they're waiting on you. Other than that, my mouse battery is dying. Other than that, there we go. You have a set of tools down the side here. You can also use the create button. This is nice when you're working with a smaller screen because it brings up tiles that you can choose. So same tools, just a different way to get to them. They give you suggestions of things to do as well. So there's multiple ways to get to them. So the dashboard is what you see here. The dashboard is going to give you some information, basic information about your organization. So I have everybody. So I have all students and staff in the system. I can tell you that there are, for those of us who are taking attendance, we've had at least 34 people sign in Connect as an attendee, upcoming events, organizations. So this is the overarching thing. You're going to see your specifics. Below the dashboard, the next tab is forms, and I'm not going to go into great detail with forms because, to be perfectly honest, you need to play around with a form to figure out how to do it, but I'll give you a couple of starting points. The first thing is when you create a form, you are typically only going to be able to create a form for the portal or organization that you belong to. So if you're a CLD intern and you are creating it on behalf of CLD, it's only going to be visible to other people in the same portal. It's not going to be a public campus-wide form unless you work with me to create it. Every page when you're creating something new, you'll see the plus button up in the right-hand corner, and the submit button is also always up in the right-hand corner. So it's very consistent. You start and stop in the same location. And then you can see a whole bunch of different forms that we have that we've used to create all of the systems in here. Everything from your org registration form to applying to use the campus raffle license to checking out supplies. So if I want to see results, I can see that by viewing responses. I can edit the form from over here. But if I just want to look at the form, I click on the name of it. There have been no responses, and actually I'm wrong. You're going to see a dashboard for it. So let me go back again and use one of the other tools. Let's just go for edit. That'll be the easiest. All forms are built the same way. So you've got settings, and then you've got fields. Settings is going to be the overarching things, like how many people can fill out the form. What's the starting time and ending time? If you're like doing elections, you may want to only have it open for a certain number of days. Fields are going to be all of the different pieces that are inside the form. And based on how people answer the questions, additional questions may appear or disappear using logic. So you can build forms that are pretty easy to follow. When you do use the tools, you can do text which includes rich text format, which means you can have people or you can import videos, photos, GIFs, so anything that's going to help people draw attention. We use this for a lot of our training materials because we can embed videos to watch and then have quiz questions afterwards. So there's lots of ways to use it. The email function you can use to confirm that it's a UW email address if you need it to be only students and staff. Or you can just confirm that it's a real email address, so it includes the @ and the period and the com or whatever the ending would be. So there's different ways to use that. What else can I tell you that's important? Those are the big pieces. The widgets that are down here are pretty cool. If you were filling out or creating a form and you wanted orgs to select which organization it's connected to or it's submitted for, the organizations button will have a drop-down menu of all student orgs. And as the list of student orgs changes on Connect, as more groups get renewed or registered for the year, the listing will change. So it allows us to not have to edit the question every time. Each of these sections that you can see are movable. So they're really meant to be very mobile friendly because you can use smaller fields, which you can see the whole thing on your phone. So that helps as well. And that was way more about forms than you needed to know. There are some really good tutorial videos right from the company who provides the basic software for us. The name is Presence, and you can get help videos and help questions answered from their staff as well. The next tab is organizations, and this is where you're going to do most of the things you need to do if you are a member or an officer, rather, of a student organization. We are moving really slow in the system today. It's never a good thing. Let's go back, shall we? Sometimes we have some hiccups. All right. So again, like I mentioned with the dashboard, you're only going to see organizations that you are a part of. So you're not going to be seeing 192 groups, and that's me, but you are going to see the groups that you're a part of. And if you have editing rights, you're going to see this ellipse over on the side, which is going to have where you're going to change roster, edit the main information about your group and so forth. So let's take a look at 91.7 The Edge. Radio station, student organization on campus. If I need to change the time or location of their meetings, which is probably pretty common right now for a lot of groups, changing it from maybe Anderson like they are to WebEx or to Zoom, I can go in and make edits to any of the information that's there. So again, as I mentioned, rich text, so I can add a video or a GIF or a link. I can even use code. If you have somebody who's really good with coding, you can make it even more exciting than I'm able to do it with the basics, but you don't have to have those to do it. This is the basic stuff, right? They're part of the College of Arts and Com, they're a news and media organization, and they're a student org here at UW-Whitewater. If I was gonna change the time to AM or to 9:30, anything I can change. If you wanna change the image, that is your banner image, then you hover over the picture, the X will appear, and then you'll be able to upload a new photo. It's really important to know that if you make edits to your portal or to an event, you have to be patient, because when you submit the edits, they're not going to automatically be visible. They have to be approved by myself or someone in career leadership before they show up. So don't submit it 6 times because you think it hasn't gone through. It just hasn't been approved yet. And we'll get it approved usually within a business day, at least starting this week within a business day, now that the involvement fair is over, but for sure within 2 business days. After that, you should feel free to shout out that we forgot something. So once I made that edit, the submit for approval button showed up, and then it gets kicked over to my queue on the admin side. You can see that all of the edits are here in different versions, and I can actually go back and look at different versions. So if you mess something up, we can go back to an older version and copy and paste it and fix what you need fixed. So I made a change to there, so it's thinking. But that's where the details come into play. I can also add events I can edit my roster, and I can upload and view documents. I can create forms. Those are your big pieces, right? And you can do those from over here also. Wow, why are you so slow today? Just seems to be getting stuck. Always when you're presenting. It's the only time it ever breaks down for me. So let's take a look and see if it'll let me switch to events. So I can see the 91.7, if they have upcoming events, if they have past events. I'm gonna go over here and do it because I don't think they have any events posted yet. So let's take a look on the admin side. So here is my overarching view of events. You would be able to go through your own. There's a couple of really key things here. Number one, remember that plus sign up here to create a new event. When you go into creating an event or creating an organization's page, either one of those are going to require that you put in a picture or a GIF. Remember that if you don't have one, if you don't have a picture or a graphic, there is a free upload photo system built right in that has thousands of pictures to choose from. So you just pick a keyword and pick something that works for you. But there could be some benefit to always using your group's logo or always using something consistent, especially if you have lots of meetings or events, because they'll show throughout the calendar. So a couple things to see here. Number one, you can see all the events that are part of your group. You can see who the sponsor is, right, which is you. But location can be for an event, a URL, or it can be an actual physical location. And then the other pieces you need to know is how to take attendance with events, right? Because that's something we need to do. It allows you to do a whole bunch more things when you take attendance, and so I highly encourage it. There's two ways to do it. There's, again, the ellipse, which means there's more. So if you click on the three dot, you're gonna get an edit option. You're going to get an attendees. You can download the attendees afterwards, and you can duplicate the event. So there isn't a recurrence function in the events, but you can duplicate one once you've created it as many times as you'd like, and then just update the minor changes as you go. If we go back though, because attendance is the part I really want to focus on here, you can see who attended. I didn't take attendance in the system because we were just getting started at that point. It's a past event, so I can email the attendees, or I can export a list, or I can add them after the fact. If I'm adding them after the fact of the event, more than an hour after your event, you have to have student ID numbers to do it, which most of us don't have. So it's important to think about it ahead of time. I can help you with that. So if you take everybody's campus email address down, I can do a little bit of magic to help you get attendees in. It won't be a super fast turnaround. It'll take me a couple days to make it happen, but I can help you with that. So I mentioned that there was a couple pieces to that. I want to go back to the list. So that's what you can do after the fact, or if you're going to just use your computer. However,
Kim, I'm sorry, I have a quick question. When you were talking about attendees, I just want to make sure I heard you right. So if we wanted to add them and we didn't add them while the event was occurring and we wanted to add them afterward, you said we can only add them through IDs. Is that correct?
Through
Their ID number?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that right.
That is how it's been built.
Fascinating.
You don't have a choice. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because why wouldn't we use email addresses? But that is accurate information.
Thank you.
Can I have mine back? My mom was borrowing my phone, and I need it for the next step, so it's perfect timing. Nope, all good. Okay, so we're going to take a look quick at a better way to take attendance, and that we're going to do by looking at today's event. So today is the 17th. Correct me if I'm wrong. So here, what you see here is a 4-digit PIN, TJRK, and there is, so right now, if I look, I have a couple different options. So again, I can go into attendees, but this event is happening right now. And so I can add attendees here using ID number, email, or I can swipe a card if I have a card swiper. We still have 4 or 5 card swipers available for checkout from the involvement office, but there's an even better way if you use your phone. So I'm going to go back and use that 4-digit code, which of course I forgot, TJRK, I believe. And I'm going to show you the application you can use. Just going to confirm TJRK. Okay. So on both Android and Apple, there is a free app called Presence Checkpoint. And I'm going to show you how simple it is. Kind of looks like a flag being stuck into the moon, the application image. When you go to it, it looks a little different from Apple to Android. It's actually easier to figure out, I think, on an Apple, but this is an Android. You don't have to log in. That login is for people who created the app. What you're looking for is either the scan button at the bottom or a scan button somewhere in the middle of the screen. You drag that up and it's going to ask you for that 4-digit letter number combination, and you type that in. And as long as you are within an hour before or an hour after your event is posted, you can either scan ID barcodes, you can type in email addresses or ID numbers. So if I take my ID and the barcode on the front, I'm not going to show you. It does have my ID number when I see it. So it says, please wait. It shows my name at the bottom to confirm that that ID is me. I press confirm, and now I'm on the list. So right now we're meeting virtually, and this may not be the best option. However, what I did in the chat when you all came in was ask you for your campus email addresses. So what we've been doing is if we have more than one person who's able to be at an event for staff, well, one person's actually presenting, the other person can be entering in those email addresses and creating the list. And I have up to an hour afterwards to do it as well. So once it's in here, it's going to show you on my attendance list. It's going to show you on your profile that you attended it, so it gives you credit too. And then there's a couple things I can do with those attendance lists. So I'm going to go back to sharing. So if I go back a day and I look at yesterday's using Connect for Org Leaders, and I go to attendees, I can download the list so I can see who attended. I can send an email, as I mentioned, so I can just email everybody that was there. Hey, so glad you came. Don't forget that next week we have a session on running fun virtual meetings, right? So that would be a good thing for me to send. I can invite or add them as members of my organization. So, hey, now that you've attended our info night, I'm going to put you on our roster. So now you're a member of our group because you've been a part of things. So I don't have to type in everybody's name. They're already on the list because they attended. And again, I can export or I can add additional people. Okay. All of this is not about us knowing how many people attend your events. And that's helpful, and it's really good to know, because when I have to go in front of administration and say, hey, this is the good stuff that student orgs do, that data really helps. Numbers sell things a lot of times easier than stories or anecdotal things do. But what it does is it helps you manage your organization. You know who your roster is, you're able to reach out to them easily, you have a way to promote. You can find out which events worked better. So when you're looking back at your year, you can say, oh yeah, that one had 60 members or 60 people attend and that one had 4. Let's maybe do this one again, or this is how we fix that low attendance one so it's better next time. You can do a lot of evaluative data to look at how many people attended educational events versus networking events versus social events, right? So you can do some image, or you can create an image based around what people are really visiting your group for or participating because of. So those are the pieces to events. So anything related to events, you're going to find in your events tab. There are a couple other things I want to mention very quickly. Tags are going to be the words like extra credit, culture and diversity. What else do we have? Homecoming, so that people can search the events very easily under different tags based on what kind of event. Music is one, comedy is one, there's a whole bunch of them. If there's something you need for your area, for your organization, for your area of CLD, or for housing, I can create as many tags as we would like. The waivers here, these are going to be very simplistic. Like, I understand that, I don't know, they're simpler than I would do on average. So it would be like, I understand that there's going to be nuts in the ice cream sundaes that we're having tonight. I don't know, something that just reminds people to be aware of what's going on. If you want to do something more substantial as a waiver, you're going to need either a form from risk management. Well, you're going to need a form for risk management, although we can create it as a form on Connect as well. Polls are questions that we can send out that you can use so that whenever anyone checks into your event for any length of time, so it could be one event or your whole semester, that each person could be asked a question once. So that could be like, I don't know, on a scale of 1 to 5, how fun do you think our meetings are? So when you scan and check them in on here, it'll have them check in, and then it'll give them one more question to answer before they go on their way into the meeting or event that they're having. Okay.
Hey Kim, we have one question in the chat. Molly asks, do we add attendees up to 1 hour after the event begins or after it ends?
So you can start an hour before it begins. So whenever you start letting people in, all the way through an hour after, you have a extra 2-hour window beyond the event time itself. Does that help, Molly?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. I like that it's a full hour beforehand. I rarely check people in that early, but it allows me to test to make sure that my phone's working. I have all the apps up and running, it's all good to go. It is all free, though all of those apps, there are actually 2 that you would need. You need a bar scanner app, but it actually, if you don't have one already on your phone, when some phones come with them already, or you may have it for other reasons, it'll suggest a bar scanner app that works compatibly with Checkpoint. One other thing I forgot to mention about that is if you need to check people in very quickly, or you know there's going to be a lot of people. So like the Learning Community Day of Service would be a perfect example, or Make a Difference Day, where you've got 30 projects going on at the same time and you need to check people in very quickly to hop on buses to head out. You can have as many phones running the Checkpoint as you'd like for the same event. So if you have 30 members and you have 3,000 people there, you can have all 30 running phones as people arrive. So that helps to make sure that you're not going to be checking people in for hours before you want to get started. Nobody likes to wait in line. It gets very old very quickly. The last piece I really want to mention is finance. And finance doesn't have a whole lot in it right now. I'm just really getting started building that out. So for groups that have SUF funding, SEG fee funding, SUFAC funding, allocable fees, all of those things are the same thing. This is where we are going to have you apply for funding for next year, apply for carryover if it applies to you, apply for contingency funds if you want a one-time fund for something, as well as to see how much you've spent out of your budget. So I have one built as an example, so you can just get a picture of basically what happens. Again, like everywhere else, you will only see the orgs that you're responsible for. So you don't have to get buried in all of them like I am. It takes me a few clicks to get to the group. So I've got Whitewater Campus. Everything that is fees in this system is SUFAC at this point in time. If I'm looking for a student org that has funding, and not all of these do, they just haven't been moved to the right spots yet. I have one group that I've entered money for, and that's Homecoming. And once I get down to them, you'll see numbers for them. Like I said, be glad that you don't have all of the budgets. Oh, where did you go, Homecoming? You should be. Let's just search. There we go. So you can see how much was allocated and how much is left in there, and I can click into it. I clicked the wrong thing, I'm sorry. Whenever you go to click on a group's name, you're gonna go to their portal for more information. I need to click on the ellipse, but it just seems so much faster to click on the name. All right, take 2. So I can view, I can work on transactions, requests, and transfers. So I'm going to go into view. I can see that the group was allocated a total of $10,431. That's their whole budget, including the money they raised themselves. and that it's split into 2 different categories of supplies and services. So as things get spent, we will help you or have you submit transaction forms, especially if you're working through career and leadership development to do the spending. We'll get all the questions answered. We'll do the purchasing for you whenever and however we can, and then we will balance that all out so that you can see how much is left in your org's budget. I am hoping that we can, as we get the SUFAC piece of it up and running, also have groups have the option of having other kinds of budgets in here too. So if you wanted to use it to track dues collection and things like that, but for right now it is just for those who receive funding from segregated fees. So you may not even see the finance button yet because it is being built out as we speak, but that will be one of the tabs that you have. Service hours is a way for us to provide service hours. The easiest way to really do that is through your events. You can assign service hours to them. So if you have a cleanup day and everyone's going to get 2 hours of service for attending, as long as you check them in on the attendance, they will get those hours credited to their profile, which is the last piece I want to mention. I'm going to go back to the student portal. One of the things that we know in our office is that sometimes people think they've submitted something and they haven't, or they don't remember exactly what they signed up for. And so we wanted to make sure that you see the profile because it's going to share a few things with you. The first thing it's going to do is give you a timeline of when you've joined or attended things. So here's the event that we're at right now. It shows that I've attended it. I can search, so I can just do types, events, or memberships. I can give myself a date range as well if I only want to see specific things. I know I joined that group, but I don't remember when. So you can see a timeline. It does not show when you leave things, only when you add them. So just be aware of that. It shows the groups that I'm a member of and my position for each of them. And then it shows how many service hours I've earned so far this year. Experiences are going to be those opportunities I mentioned where through a series of activities you can earn points. And there aren't any out there right now except for the involvement fair. And then responses, as I mentioned, when you're not sure if you've turned something in or not, this is where you can see if you've submitted it and what something's current standing is. So in here, I've got a number of forms that were submitted by me. So if I look, I can see that I submitted this. Actually, this is waiting on me. But I was the one who originally submitted this form to Connect. So I can see it. I can actually approve it from here, which I will do later. I can see, I'm wondering. See, when I see a little bit different than everybody else, I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. So give me 1 second here. So I can see the forms that I've submitted. Right now, that's the only form that I have submitted, and I've submitted a lot of them. I can see if anything is pending approval or if it's been approved. And then I can also go into the forms and see what I submitted. So the example I always use is the involvement fair. We have a lot of orgs sign up for the involvement fair, and some people think they do, but don't turn in the right form or forgot to do it or think someone else did it, like all of those different things. So for me, I always go here because if there's something that we screwed up on our end, I'm going to do everything I can to fix it. But sometimes I can't fix it. And if it was somebody else's mistake, at least they know what happened. It's about transparency for me, not about right or wrong. We're still going to try to get people in the fair anyway, but that allows people to know, where things sit, I guess is what I would say is most important. You can also search if you know there's a specific form. So that's in your profile. You can get to that from the main page of the student side of Connect, or you can also get to it from up on the profile or up on the drop down for your membership. Sweetheart, I am presenting. You need to go. The joys of working from home. What questions do you have? What did I skim over, or what are you hoping that the system will do that I didn't mention today? All right. I got it looks good. Any questions you have? Number one, know that we've recorded these sessions and we're going to put it up on Connect on the main page. So if you have another officer or student that you know or staff that you think would benefit from the brief overview, by all means, share that video. We have to just get it closed caption or open caption rather, so that all students and staff can access it equally. So that'll be there. But we also have drop-in hours through the involvement office staff. So if you have questions about this, whether it's for work or for an org you're a part of, know that you can drop in Monday through Thursday from 10 to 2. And it's at tinyurl.com/INV for involvement, drop-in 20. It is called Connect. That is the name we're using. Presence is the name of the software. It's going to feel like we'll kind of go back and forth because if you look at the URL, it's Presence, right? uw.presence.io. So I would prefer and request that you use the word Connect as you're talking about the software. Good question. All right. All right, if you have told me in the chat your email address and what group or groups or position you're here for, CLD, housing, student organization, you are free to be on your way. And let me know if you have any questions or comments, all right? Take care, everybody.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
How do I go into the chat on this?
Down on the bottom, there should be, if you kind of hover over the Zoom screen, there should be a chat bubble.
Oh, there we go. I didn't see it before. Sorry.
No problem.
All I was seeing was the raise hand, yes, and etc.
I can't keep them straight between Zoom and WebEx and Facebook and Google, so they're all a little bit different.
Yeah, since I've been using WebEx for everything, and we used Zoom last semester because Whitewater pays for WebEx, and then our headquarters pays for Zoom.
Oh.
So I never know which one to use.
Well, I would say, yeah, if you're talking about new members, right, as you're going through the recruitment process, I would use WebEx because they're using it for classes. But I have been a Zoom fan for a long time, which is why we're using it today. So, yeah.
I just use WebEx because it's a little bit more secure than Zoom. But I like Zoom. I think it's a little bit more user-friendly.
I do too. And you don't need to download it to fully use it. Where WebEx, you really need the app to get the most out of it. But if campus is going to pay for it, then I'm gonna use
Might as well use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry I was a little late. I was in class one a little longer than I was supposed to. So.
Hey, classes come first. All good. Did you miss anything or feel like you missed out on any pieces that you needed more info on?
No, I had John run me through Connect and everything, so I was pretty much acquainted with it.
Okay.
So that's one benefit of living with John.
Yeah. He's absolutely a resource. It's good. Just let us know if there's anything we can help with. I know Lambda Chi has used a ton of the document, like a lot of your documents have been up there. And so if you need help uploading things, we can do that if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I still have to submit chapter roster and stuff like that to Tyler on the new Connect, but I'll do that sometime this week or next week. This week's been really busy for some reason.
Yep. Yeah, well, September is busy. I don't know if they've even built out a roster form or if they're asking, I don't know what they're asking you to do with rosters yet, but based on the number of members that you have, don't sit and type each one in independently. If you need to put them like just literally into Connect, shoot me an email and I'll send you the CSV template to do an upload. All right.
I'm guessing it just pulls their information through by itself.
Yeah, you just need their email address and that's it. You just need their campus email address and it'll upload them into your roster. And then you just have to assign officer positions to anyone who's an officer.
That's not bad.
Yeah, a little faster.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your week, Kim.
You too. Good luck with
Thank
recruitment.
you. Thank you. Bye.